No, DC. No, DC. No. No, DC. Bad DC. You were never a UFC referee, DC. You got to take notes from Big John McCartney. So right off the bat, let's try to remove any kind of favoritism. It doesn't matter who you like more, who's the most exciting, entertaining, likable, funny. None of that matters. Let's talk about facts. Let's talk about Lewis versus Teixeira was an early stoppage. Yes, you heard that correctly. And you saw it correctly. That's where people are getting mixed up. You saw it correctly. What happened was the framing in your brain was changed by the propaganda, by the narrative, by that horrendous commentary. DC was over there at the commentator booth, too busy watching my videos, trying to find out what he's gonna bite on next. He probably wasn't even watching the fight. And for DC, it makes him look even better having beat Lewis. Then people are like, oh, MMA math and whatnot. He could beat Teixeira too. DC's hard all of a sudden. There's a lot you gotta look into right here. It was an early stoppage. That was everyone's gut reaction right off the bat. And then it started changing. Did you notice that? It was unanimous right off the top. Early stoppage. That's all you could see left and right. And it slowly started shifting. That's how propaganda works. It eats away at the fabric of society. And maybe you don't want to take my word for it. Maybe you don't want to take the word of the founder and grandmaster of the Mexican martial arts, because what I teach is often considered as, you know, a great form of brutality. And we're talking about a sport right now, a controlled sport with rules and referees and regulations. I understand that. So let me give you someone that maybe you could relate to this situation. Have you ever heard of a little someone called Big John McCartney? Have you seen the videos? Have you read the articles? Big John McCartney himself has come out and said, hey, Jason Herzog, you gotta let them swim in those deep waters. This is a main event. This is a big fight. This ain't the prelims. A fight like this at this time in this division is very impactful. You gotta let them swim, homie. Oh, but wait. That's not enough before you get it twisted. Oh, he's old. He's irrelevant. Okay. But in addition to Big John McCartney saying that, why did that even come up? Oh, it's because he was talking to Jason Herzog and he was on the phone with Big John McCartney and he told him, I got to start doing something different. I stopped it too early. He admitted that he messed up. So all you fools out here saying that Jason Herzog was right and he did the right thing and it was honorable and it was, man, he's got a tough job and he knew just how, he came out and said he was wrong. So now what? I'm telling you, if you're going across the word of the Grandmaster, Big John McCartney, Jason Herzog, you're over here siding with Daniel Cormier just because he wants to look hard because he beat DC, therefore he beat Teixeira. I don't know what to tell you. Teixeira went down and he never stopped getting up. Go back and watch it. You were correct the first time, but you had no backbone. You were spineless. You caved into peer pressure. You heard the chattering and you said, yeah, it says, bah, bah. Jason Herzog even made a comment to Big John McCartney that a lot of the shots were missing. They weren't even landing. And you can see that when you watch the replay. They weren't even landing. And then Derrick Lewis admitted himself, which I thought was a crazy thing to admit because it just shows how out of control it was, how unintentional it was. He said that he was hitting his own leg. How could you have I can't even imagine being in a scrap and being like, how do you hit yourself? You would just think you spent enough time with your own self over the years. You know where you are and where you aren't. Somehow he's in a fight and he's hitting his own leg. So that tells you two things, how out of control he was and how much Teixeira was still moving. He wasn't out of it. He's moving so much that Derrick Lewis ends up socking himself. And this video was sponsored by my Patreon with new videos every weekday. For reals. If you go back and watch the footage, he gets sat down, right? As soon as that second bomb comes from Derrick Lewis, he's already moving his head. He's already got his wherewithal back. As soon as Derrick swings, when he's sitting down, he's already moving. And then the whole time after that, he's turning around. He's crawling like a little turtle. He's getting up. He never stops. I heard people say, well, he wasn't intelligently defending himself. What is it called when you're like, oh, I'm getting hit, I'm going to get up now? I mean, if he was just laying there on his belly, like he was waiting for the black beast to give him that pound massage, then that would be one thing. But he was turning around. He's like, I'm going to get up out of here. That was his form of defending himself. And I know what other fools are thinking. Oh, wait. Let me switch arguments real quick then. Because you already put that one down. Let me go this other argument. He was grabbing on the cage. That's why he stopped. Okay, well, you know what I think is very interesting? Something else that Big John McCartney brought up. That's not a reason to call a TKO. You're telling me if some dude just climbing up on the cage like that, you're going to be like, oh, TKO? He just got TKO'd. How come? Didn't you see him climbing on the cage? Automatic TKO? What kind of logic is that? Now, I understand that he didn't want to burn Derrick Lewis, but that's why Big John McCartney said that kind of thing, you got to call it on the fly. Don't pause the fight and burn this dude, but you just got to take mental note. That dude lost some points right now because that was crazy blatant. And then you do like in soccer, they call it play to the advantage. So like if there's some kind of foul or penalty that went on, you don't go and pause the action and burn the other dude that didn't do anything wrong. You just let it keep going because it's in his favor. So then like what he should have done, all right, take mental note. I'm going to penalize this guy, but I ain't going to stop the action. I'm going to let it keep going. And Derrick Lewis would have TKO'd him anyway, or a KO. And it was the same. And look, I love Jason Herzog. He's probably my favorite referee. So I'm not trying to talk papas about this dude, but I think it's very coincidental. There was another fight that came to my beanie when I was looking into this. And I knew, I was like, which fight was that? So I was watching some of my old videos. And it was Sean O'Malley versus Peter Yan. And I remember I had talked about that, how Sean O'Malley kept grabbing on the cage and he was dodging takedowns. He was trying to escape that control time and he kept grabbing and yanking on the cage. And it was Jason Herzog. All of a sudden, this dude, he grabs the cage. Oh, fight's over, TKO. Sean O'Malley, he went on to win that fight. You know, he's on that, even when I lose, I win. Have you seen that? Even when I lose, I win. He's on that type of stuff, right? Not anymore. But he was on that trajectory. I mean, maybe if he would have got Herzog against Merab, everything would have went differently. Look, see, now I'm talking papas. I just think that it's very interesting that you have one fool out here grabbing, yanking onto the cage, snatching titles away like that, and the other dude climbs the cage, TKO, huh?
I will not let this opportunity slip through my fingers. Cup of coffee, man, yeah.
But that needs to be clear. It has to be clear. There was a narrative embedded into your consciousness, and you have to realize that. Think about it. All you fools, and I see you fools doing at it. Laura Stenko, Daniel Cormier, who was the other one? Who was the other one at the booth? I don't even remember. You clown on these people all the time. You'll call them casuals. You say you turn down their commentary. They don't know what they're talking about. They need to get fired. All this stuff until they say something that you like hearing. Until they tickle your ears, right? These are the fools that put that narrative out there. These are the ones that kept saying, oh yeah, he was going in and out of consciousness. Teixeira was out. Really? Then I guess he was sleepwalking like Step Brother style, because the moment he got set down, he already started getting up. And then when he went after Herzog, you could see it in his eyes. You could see when he heel palmed that fool, when he mushed him, he wasn't out of it. He wasn't out of consciousness. He was like, a full step back, but it was too late because he gave him one of those. When you go off flamboyant like that, when you give him one of those, it's over. It's over, girlfriend. When he does that, you better step off. That's a fine right there. He was not in and out of consciousness. You cannot call a TKO just because someone's scaling the fence like that, because Sean O'Malley was doing the same thing. And that's just one little thing I happen to remember because I made a video about it. I mean, leave in the comments below. Let me know so I could go scope them out on Fight Pass. There's got to be countless ones over time of dude grabbing fences. And yeah, they'll call penalties or whatever. They'll take points. But have you ever seen a dude climb the fence? Whoa, whoa, whoa. TKO. This guy TKO'd him. But he's on the other side of the cage. I know, but he climbed TKO. It doesn't work like that. Ever. But you know when it would work like that? It would work like that if the UFC wants Derrick Lewis to represent America at the White House instead of Jon Jones. That's when it works. That is when it makes sense. What's the most exciting thing Jones has ever done after a victory? Could I get a... I don't even know what that is, and I didn't like doing it. It felt gross. And his little Trump dance, and we feel like it's a lot because of the source, because of who it's coming from. When he gives you a little something like that, it's like, hey, but it's not that much. With Derrick Lewis, he gives us his little alligator thing. Is that what it is? It's an alligator, right? Whatever that thing he does on the ground. He gives us that thing. He does his arrows. He does the degeneration. He goes and pees at the opponent's corner. He takes off his shorts, throws his shorts to the crowd, takes his cup out, chucks it into the crowd. He takes his chonies down, he moons the crowd, and then immediately he starts hyping up USA. He starts talking about, I'm not going to get into the specifics right now. You can watch the post-fight interview. He starts talking, sweet nothings into the entire world about his wife, for everyone to hear their personal stuff. It was amazing. It was hilarious. But he starts, showing that he's a dude that loves his wife. Like most other UFC fighters that are like super big and popular and mainstream, and those are the names everyone knows, their wife ain't even their wife. We talk about Conor McGregor's wife. Well, his wife actually ain't his wife. They're not married. We talk about Jon Jones' wife. Oh yeah, his wife. He's had his wife since like 2001, but his wife. She's not his wife. His wife. That's not his wife though. They're not together anymore. Yeah, but they're together. But that's not his wife. This dude actually claims her and he loves her. Derrick Lewis goes into a fight, and a lot of the time he's an underdog and he's got everyone like this, please, because everybody loves him so much. They want him to win. And then on top of that, when he's actually in there, he's not one of these fighters that runs his mouth and he's entertaining outside the cage and then he gets in and he's boring. He gets in there and he throws. And people love that. And then they love the after. They love the beginning, the during, the after, because then he does all his exciting stuff and people are here for it. He loves his family. He's the knockout leader. He's the perfect wholesome package that the UFC would love to grow a following off of. And then he's on the phone with someone, and I was laughing during the Mexican Fight Companion. I was like, I've never seen this before. Bruce Buffer's already talking. Jason Herzog's already holding his hand. They're about to announce a winner. And he's like this. Like, imagine that. If you didn't see a picture that, and the winner. And then the whole thing, he's like, yeah, like he's totally into this. He's like checked out. He's like, and I was like, who is he talking to? Because at the moment we had no idea. At first I thought it might have been like a relative. But then I thought, no, it can't be, or else they would be on speaker. And then finally after that, DC is the one that said it was Donald Trump. And then I said, now it makes sense. Now it makes sense. Because Donald Trump, he wants an American. He wants an American. Dana White wants an American. They want not only do they want an American champion again in the UFC, and they're scared they're going to lose the only one they have right now, Kayla Harrison. Not only do they want that, they need one to represent the country. And even if Donald Trump does like Jon Jones, you never know what he's going to do between now and then. If he's going to be available, if he's going to be incarcerated, if he's going to be sober, if he's going to be alive. We have no idea, but we got this other dude that really wants to be there. And he's a dude that's marketable. He's a dude that's not going to disappear. We got this dude that is known for these things. He's known for his likability, for being a family dude, for being consistent, for being accessible. The other dude is known for drugs, for crime, for, even though I don't fully agree, if at all, for ducking. He's known for things that make people not like him. But he's like, imagine like a superhero. Imagine if there was like a superhero that you wanted to represent your country. You needed that American to represent against the UK dude, against the British dude. You needed to have a superhero that you didn't even really like, but you knew he was gonna win. You know, like a really unlikable superhero, like a Captain Marvel or like a Star-Lord. That's Jon Jones. But Derrick Lewis is like the Incredible Hulk, like Spider-Man. Everybody loves that fool, and that's what they prefer. But can he pull it off? See, nobody likes Jon Jones, but at least we have faith that he would win. He's like that superhero that you're like, yeah, he's going to get it, but man, I can't stand that fool. He's kind of annoying. Derrick Lewis is like that Theo that you love, and he used to get down back in the day. But does he still got it, you know? And that little trick ain't going to keep working for him forever, where he's like, oh, I'm hurt, and then bye, like he did with JDS. Or, oh, I can't see him, bye, like he did the other night. He's going to end up being that heavyweight that cried foul. And everyone's going to be like, even the refs going to be like, nah, stop it. No one's going to listen anymore. That was like the last tool he had left. He just put it again very publicly. He's talking about it. He's admitting it. He's laughing about it. It's very recent. It's on that big stage now. So whoever he gets next, that's going to be exactly what they're looking for. And that's been the thing. Do you think the fight would have went the way it did if he wouldn't have got that? Another option that Herzog would have had if he thought that it was just the ugliest, most clear, blatant cage grabbing he's ever seen. Too far beyond the point, even worth taking points. It was just so disgusting. Okay. But then call it a DQ. How was that a TKO? Call it a DQ then. If that's the narrative, but that's not even what Herzog is saying anymore. This is a hypothetical. This is a lot of the fans out there saying, oh, it's because of that. That makes sense. And it's because of what DC said when Derrick Lewis was walking out. He said, you can't stop the finish to take the point, so you stop the fight. No, DC. No, DC. No DC. Bad DC. You were never a UFC referee, DC. You got to take notes from Big John McCartney. You call it on the fly, of course. Yeah, like you're saying, oh, duh. You don't, that's nothing revelatory right there. You don't just, of course, you're not going to stop it right in the middle. Duh, nobody would do that. You call it on the fly. And if it was just so far out there that you got to end the fight, then you end it on a DQ. It's not a TK. You might as well have said, at that point, you might as well have said, oh, yeah, Derrick Lewis won via rear naked choke. Huh? Why? Because that fool grabbed the cage. So it's a submission now. Rear naked choke. Are you good with that? Or what do you want? Like you want anaconda, head and arm guillotine, figure four? You like the rear naked choke? All right. Rear naked choke. I was reading this article on bjpenn.com, and it was about, by the way, how does BJ Penn keep writing these articles? I thought BJ was in the pen right now. That fool's in there like Tupac. He's more prolific than ever. He keistered a phone or something. Or maybe one of the guards is a fight fan. I don't know. People in the know are kind of implying it's going to be Aspinall and Gain. And that's the perfect buffer. They need to push it back a little bit in case they can't have Lewis fight Aspinall too early. They need to have him back there in case it falls through with Jones. And maybe they don't even want it to be Jones. Maybe they'll have a choice between Jones and Lewis and they'll go with Lewis. Because if Lewis wins, he's going to stick around. That's where he wants to be. And if he becomes champ and he gets that champ money, with Jones, if he wins, he might disappear for a couple years. He might get arrested. Who knows what he's going to do, but they don't have to worry about that with Derrick Lewis. You just got to be careful about what all these different talking heads are saying to you. They're all getting paid to push the same narrative. But you know what? I respect Derrick Lewis. And I want to make something clear right here. I love Derrick Lewis, and I'm glad he won. I wanted him to win. The other dude was annoying, but I think it was an early stoppage. I think Lewis would have knocked him out anyway, but it was an early stoppage. But at least Derrick Lewis was brave enough to expose the truth.
Yeah, you know, the whole UFC is scripted.
What does that mean? What is that?
It's part of the plan, you know. So in July 12th, You know, they want me to win first round knockout.
So that's what's gonna happen?
Part of the script. Yeah, it's part of the script.